Alright, here Team Eccentric, and I bring you guys a new dual commentary video. This time I'm on the left playing my MERMAILs, Connor's on the right playing his DDDs. Basically over the course of the last few weekends I've been kind of testing a bunch of decks, just messing around with stuff, and I just haven't played MERMAILs on the channel in a while. I haven't profiled them, so I figured I'd bring you guys a match with the current list that I'm playing. I also do have a deck profile coming up, as well as more matches with other decks you will see in the future. You know, like I said, I've been filming a lot. I just haven't really been posting anything lately. I've been really busy trying to get finished with the skateboarding season and whatnot. So, but let's get into this match. So I start, and first I activate Murray of Greed, and I shuffle back a Megalo and a Heavy Infantry. Basically, like, this build of MERMAILs, honestly, has been the most consistent that I've had in a while. So it's actually really decent. I actually do really enjoy it. But I activate 1-for-1, ditching the MERMAIL Abyss lead, which does come in handy later on. And here I summon the Prince. And then Prince pays cost for Dragoons to add Dragoons. And then Dragoons triggers, and I add Heavy Infantry. MERMAILs are just still really good. So I reveal Megalo ditching Goons and Infantry. Megalo is Chainlink 3, Infantry 2, and Dragoons 1. I'm just kind of considering like ways I can go about this because I've opened pretty decently, so like I want to try and make the most optimal play possible. So I add the Moulin. In this particular scenario, I think I just play kind of conservatively, but I link into the Link Kariwa, and then drop the Moulin. So I rip 2 cards from my opponent's hand. And then there's the Kepler. And then there's the Ragnarok. So basically I'm just trying to like rip cards from his hand so that he just absolutely like has no advantage. But then I link 2 into the Proxy Dragon. And then I Soul Charge. Game Charge. Absolutely busted. So Dragoons, Megalo, and Abyss lead, and this is where the lead comes in handy. So I did pay 4,000 life points, but it's well worth it with the board that I set up. Overlay into the Bahamut Shark, and I use lead to tribute the Megalo to rip another card from my opponent's hand. So basically I just ripped 3 cards from my opponent's hand. So I ripped the Swirl Slime, which kinda, in a way, benefits him, but summon the Toad off of Bahamut Shark, trade the Dragoons. Here, I believe I add the Diva, yep. The Diva really is kind of a precautionary play, only because if he does manage to crack my field, I can summon out a Prince and then go off again. So I activate the Equip spell and lead. But with the Diva, it's just kind of a setup play in case I have to go into Brio or whatever. And then he activates Upstart, which clears out my Equip spell. And then he normal summons Kepler and attempts its effect. And I do let it go here because I figure there are more important things to negate, but he adds Gate. And then he links into Link Karibo. Excuse him, he actually meant to put it into his extra deck. He activates Gate, and I negate it and take it. And then Toad's effect gives me back the Moulin Glacier. I do still have 5 Waters and Graves, so like I can Moulin him again, which is absolutely busted. That's one of the reasons why I like MERMAILs, is because there's just so many ways to take resources away from your opponent. But now, essentially, he's kind of just stuck with only a Link Karibo on his board. He banishes the Swirl Slime, which allows him to special summon the third copy of Kepler, I believe. So basically, he just bricked. He had a horrible hand. It happens. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! It happens to all of us. So he links again, and this time he goes into the Wee Witch, which is essentially the Dark Mrs. Radiant. But now it's my turn. So I special summon the Moulin Glacier. He has no cards in his hand, but I detach, special summon the Toad again, and then Dragoons allows me to search again, so I search for the Megalo. Essentially, like, MERMAILs just allow me to put so many cards on the board. I've been playing this deck for so long that I know a lot of the plays. So I link into Firewall. I normal summon Diva, which allows me to special summon the Prince. And there it is. And then I send, for cost, a copy of marksman, and then I had heavy infantry. I would have sent heavy infantry to destroy his wee witch, but I figured bouncing it would probably be a smarter play, because then he gets absolutely no resources back. I don't want him to have anything to go off of next turn. So this, honestly, I feel is probably the more optimal way to go about it, to do it that way rather than heavy infantry on the wee witch. But I'm considering plays, just ways to seal the game, seal game one so that I just immediately win, basically. So I linked 2 into Mr. Boy. And basically my board is stacked. I mean, my board is absolutely crazy. I mean, I have Firewall, Link Karibo, Toad, Mr. Boy, and Moon Glacier, and I took his face down card. Then I use Firewall, there's the to bounce the wee witch. And I reveal Megalo, ditching the Dragoons and the infantry. And then I had the Marksman off of the Dragoons. So here I link again into Borreload, just to kind of solidify the fact that I have control of the field. So now it's his turn. He flips the Where Art Thou. Now I couldn't have killed him that one turn because I used Mullen as a link material, so basically like it just prevents me from going into my battle phase during the next turn. But you know, in a scenario such as that, you just kind of establish the biggest board you can and, you know, make as many negates, which is essentially what I did. Now we're siding. This is actually where I feel is probably my downfall, because siding for Mermails, especially in my personal opinion, is kind of tough because you have significant engine pieces you don't want to take out, but at the same time you want to take out enough cards that you side in what you need to side. And on top of that, if you don't see your sides, you can get screwed, or if you do see your side, you get screwed. It's just kind of one of those things where if you see too many sides or not enough sides, it's just side decking is tough, especially for this deck, because this deck inherently just needs water monsters to function, and if you side out any number of water monsters, you're kind of lessening your chances of drawing the right amount of water monsters. And I know that sounds weird, but and a lot of people honestly play the Sekka's light version of Mermail, but I personally just don't like that version. I feel like it's link spam or bust for that version, which I'm not really a big fan of. I like having versatility and options in my extra deck. So I just feel that version it's very consistent, but it lacks follow-up plays. It lacks the ability to recur things, which is part of my issue with it. But so now we're going into game 2, and we've already sided. And here I believe Connor decides to go first. So we're drawing our hands, and basically here I just drew weird. So he activates the gate and I ash it, and then he upstarts. So I'm at 9, he's at 8. He normal summons the Necro Slime and Lynx into Link Karibo. DDDs are a really good deck, especially when you put some of their resources in the grave. So now it's my turn. But yeah, the fact that he can Link Karibo with the Necro Slime just puts him ahead. It's actually decent. But I set a card because I literally drew not that good. Like, I drew absolutely horrible. And it was if I had one discard outlet, I had a Dragoons in my hand, but so now he activates Gate to search the Swirl Slime, which is basically where the the game, I feel, is starting to kind of tip in his favor. And see me trying to flash that rarity there. So then he normal summons the Swirl Slime and links into Wee Witch. And he activates the Ragnarok and Scale, and then he fusion summons into the Genghis. And then that allows him to trigger, I believe, he actually decides to just link into a Unicorn. And then he banishes 2 Necro Slimes. And he manages to summon the D-Arc. So he specials out the D-Arc, and he gains 1,000 because normally he'd take 1,000 damage because D-Arc is on board. He gains the damage, and on top of that, I believe here he manages to bring out the Genghis off of Ragnarok's effect. Basically, DDDs are really, really good at like building a board in a vacuum. Like in a scenario where like you have all the resources in your grave and you just have like a Genghis on board, you can just build an absolute board just full of big monsters. So he does a bunch of battle damage to me, even though I believe it's full half. I'm not really sure. I can't remember if that's just Thomas's effect or Ragnarok's effect as well. But so it's my turn. I draw, and I'm still stuck. I believe I drew another Ash Blossom. Doesn't exactly help me with the water count in my hand. I had a Ray of Greed as well, so I couldn't really do much. Oh man, I had the Soul Charge and everything. Like, my hand was set up with absolute power plays if I had the resources. So it passed to him, and I Ash. He attempts to use Gate. Normal summons the Lamia and Synchros into Siegfried. And he brings back the D-Arc with that, and he goes for game. So that's game 2, guys. Like I said, like, siding with Mermails can be kind of difficult because you don't want to side out your imperative combo pieces and your inherent, like, you know, engine staples and things like that. But you know, either way, like, I feel that, like, that's probably the one downside. Like, every deck has a pro and a con, and I feel like that's the cons of playing non-Sekka Mermail, where I'm not playing the Light of Sekka version, is that I can sometimes brick my spell cards, but I would rather have consistency cards like 1-for-1 and power plays like Soul Charge and, you know, things like Ray of Greed to restack my hand, rather than just be stuck with what I, you know, originally drew, unless I draw into the Sekka's Light, and even then, Sekka's Light isn't guaranteed to, you know, give you a better hand. It's just, you know, it's not in any way, you know, a consistency card like 1-for-1 is, or anything like that. So, but now we're going into game 3, and I resided, and this time I sided what I feel was probably the better, you know, better side. I just, like, my game in this match was just absolutely horrible. You know, my player senses weren't about me, I feel. So here I believe I go first, and I Upstart Goblin, and I still didn't draw into anything. I drew into the Called by the Grave, so I set, and then I normal Dragoons, and I pass, which is immediately just horrible. So he normal summons Kepler, summons the effect, searches Gate, he activates Gate, and I Twin Twister the Gate. So I just literally don't want him to get the Gate off. So, because the moment he starts getting his searches and things like that, this is when I know that it's basically over. So I'm trying to maintain some kind of control over the game. So links into Link Karibo, and he passes. So basically, he just set up a Link Karibo, and I just have a Dragoons. I probably like my game here was absolutely off, just absolutely horrible. I drew. So I attempt to bait out the Link Karibo just to get it off the board, just so he doesn't really have, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have, you know, a card that can reduce my monster's attack points. So I Monster Reborn, and I summon out the Gamma Seal, and I link into Mistar Boy, thinking that maybe, like, at some point when he summons a big monster, I can crash with Mistar Boy and get back Dragoons. He activates Thomas, which allows him to add back the Kepler from extra deck, and then he normal summons the Kepler, which allows him to search. So he searches Gate. It's just how it goes, you know. So he activates the Gate to get a search, and he searches Swirl Slime. You know, my game is just absolutely off in this match. I'm so burnt about it, but it is what it is, you know. But he activates the Kepler, and then he Pendulum summons 1. Pendulum summons the Typhon, which is a weird tech card that he actually plays, but I do kind of like it. It's actually pretty cool. Link summons in the Louis Witch, and he reveals the Swirl Slime and discards it, and the Necro Slime, which gives him a lot of advantage, just stacked in his graveyard. So there's the Genghis, and then he banishes the Swirl Slime to special out the Lamia, which allows him to trigger the Genghis to special out the Typhon. Yeah, there's a lot on board. I mean, obviously, you know, I mean, I have the Mistar Boy, but kind of just is, you know, inherently in his favor right now. So I Call by the Grave his Lamia, and then he, after summoning Meteor Burst, special summons the Thomas, which allows him to destroy Pendulum Scale to summon out a level 8. So he summons up the Ragnarok. But basically, like my entire game right now is just absolutely horrible. I am I'm so disappointed in the way that my MERMAIL deck played in this particular match. It is what it is, though. You know, you can't win them all. So he links into the what looks like a decode talker. And basically, like the way this game was played, I tried maintaining as many resources as possible, and it just wasn't working because I wasn't drawing into any discard outlets. Yeah, no, my game was horrible. Plus, like I said, you know, I had a mass hand of just a bunch of spell cards. So because of Meteor Burst, I don't even get into Starboy's effect. So basically, like, this game is just in his favor right now. He has everything he needs to just put me away. I don't really like to quit unless I know my opponent has damage on board right there. Because you never know, you can always draw a comeback card. But so I only take half damage because of Thomas's effect. Either way, though, he has the absolute, you know, stones on board. I can't do anything. He has the new big Genghis out of Soul Fusion, which, you know, acts like a Siegfried in a way, and then it's my turn. He has Meteor Burst, which prevents me from using battle-based effects or effects in the battle phase. So I reveal Teus and ditch the Ronin, which is exactly why I should have saved the Dragoons, but I would have lost by then. So I add the MERMAIL Abyss Pike, and then I set it, because I'm just trying to set up defenses right now, but I know that, like, there's really no way I'm probably coming back unless I draw a Prince or something. And even then, I have to have another water in hand, so, like, this game just absolutely tipped in his favor, and it just is what it is. He activates the Thomas, and then adds back the Kepler. Like you can see, he's just getting his resources back like crazy. So then he tributes off of Ragnarok's effect to banish my face down card, which was the Pike. And then basically, like, this game is it's just horrible for me. It just works out for him so well. Well, either way, he basically summons out a Ragnarok, which allowed him to summon out the big Genghis again, and then he makes the Hope Harbinger, which right there, it's just like there's not anything I can do there. That's game. So yeah, that was a very horrible game on my part, but it is what it is. There is a second match between these two decks coming up. We basically were it's a grudge match that Connor and I filmed the night after, just to kind of see like where my MERMAILs would stand if I actually you know, played them correctly and drew a better hand. The deck, it works, but you need to see discard outlets as well as the cards that you actually want to discard. So, you know, resources are all just kind of all over the place with MERMAILs. But that's it. You know, bad feels. It is what it is. Connor won. Really appreciate the views, guys. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Rate, comment, subscribe. You know, we really appreciate any views you guys give us, as per the usual. Eric here, you know, lost with MERMAILs. Team Eccentric out. Rate and subscribe, leave your comments and ideas in the comment section below, and don't hesitate to give us respectful suggestions on content you want to see. Eric on behalf of the team saying take care, and Team Eccentric out.